Because this 1995 101 coin combined a rare minting variation with exceptional condition, it quickly attracted attention within the collecting community. News of the discovery spread through collector forums, numismatic publications, and private discussions between experts. Some collectors believe the coin might have been part of a small test batch struck during adjustments to the minting equipment. Others suggested that it could represent one of the earliest strikes produced by a new die before it began to wear down. Either way, the coin appeared to be extremely rare. Interest in the coin continued to grow as more experts examined it. Collectors from different countries requested photographs and technical details. The coin became the subject of discussion among specialists in modern Asian coinage. Eventually, the owner decided to present the coin at a major international auction. Auctions are one of the most exciting places in the world of rare coin collecting. They bring together collectors, investors, museums, and dealers who are all searching for unique pieces of history. Before the auction, the coin was displayed during a preview exhibition. Collectors were able to examine it through protective cases under bright lighting. Many visitors were surprised that such a small coin could generate so much interest. Yet experienced collectors understood why the coin was special. Rare coins represent a combination of history, craftsmanship, and scarcity. When a coin with unusual characteristics appears in outstanding condition, it becomes highly desirable. As the auction day approached, anticipation grew among bidders. Some collectors planned to participate in person, while others prepared to bid through phone representatives or online systems. The coin had become one of the most talked about items in the auction catalog. When the auction finally began, the room filled with excitement. The auctioneer introduced the coin and described its rare minting variation, its historical background, and its exceptional condition. The audience listened carefully as the coin's story was presented. The bidding started at a relatively modest level, but it quickly became clear that several collectors were determined to win the coin. Offers began rising steadily as bidders competed against one another. Each time a new bid was announced, another collector responded with a higher offer. The auctioneer repeated the numbers as the price climbed higher and higher. Observers in the room watched with growing fascination as the value of the small coin continued to rise. Soon the bidding passed levels that many people had never expected for a modern circulation coin. But the competition showed no signs of slowing down. Collectors who specialized in Asian coins recognized how rare the piece truly was. As the auction progressed, the number of active bidders gradually narrowed. Some participants dropped out as the price increased beyond their limits. Eventually, only a few determined collectors remained in the competition. The tension in the room became intense as the final bids were exchanged. Each offer pushed the price even higher, drawing gasps from some members of the audience. The small coin that once traveled through everyday transactions had become the center of a dramatic international bidding battle. Two final bidders continued raising their offers, refusing to give up. The auctioneer carefully watched for each signal as the price climbed to astonishing levels. The room fell nearly silent as everyone waited to see who would make the final move. After one last dramatic bid, the auctioneer paused and looked around the room. No further offers appeared. The hammer was raised, and with a single strike the sale was confirmed. The humble 1995 South Korea 101 coin, once used for small purchases and ordinary transactions, shocked everyone in attendance when the final price was announced. The tiny coin had sold for $5.8 million. In 1995, a small and ordinary-looking coin quietly entered circulation in South Korea. It was the 101 coin, something millions of people used every day without giving it a second thought. For most people, it was simply spare change that jingled in their pockets, a coin that might be used to buy a quick snack from a street vendor, pay a small bus fare, or sit forgotten in the bottom of a wallet. It was not made of gold or silver. It did not look special. To the average person, it was simply another piece of everyday money. The coin carries the portrait of Lee Sun-sin, one of the most respected heroes in Korean history. Admiral Lee Sun-sin was a brilliant naval commander who lived during the late 16th century and became famous for his leadership during the Imjin War. He led Korean naval forces against invading armies and developed strategies that are still studied today. His courage and determination made him a symbol of national pride, which is why his image appears on the 101 coin. The design of the coin is simple but meaningful. On one side, the portrait of Admiral Yi Sun-sin faces forward with sharp details that highlight his armor and expression. On the other side, the denomination is displayed along with Korean characters and the year the coin was minted. The coin itself is made from a copper-nickel alloy, chosen for its durability and resistance to wear. It was designed to survive years of use as it passed through countless hands across the country. During 1995, the South Korean Mint produced a large number of these coins. They were distributed through banks and businesses and quickly became part of everyday life. People used them at convenience stores, vending machines, local markets, and transportation systems. Some coins traveled far across the country, while others stayed within the same neighborhoods where they were first spent. At the time, no one imagined that any of these coins could become valuable. They were produced in huge numbers, and their face value was small. For most people, the 101 coin was simply practical currency with no special meaning beyond its ability to pay for small items. Many coins were dropped, scratched, or worn down from years of use. Others ended up lost in couch cushions, drawers, or old jars of spare change. But among the millions of coins produced, a few rare pieces began attracting attention from coin collectors. Coin collectors, also known as numismatists, have a habit of examining coins much more carefully than ordinary people. They study small details such as mint marks, design variations, and production differences. Sometimes the smallest detail can make a coin extremely rare. Minting coins is a complex process that involves powerful machines striking metal blanks with engraved dies. Each die contains the design that will appear on the coin. When the blank metal piece is placed between the dies and struck with pressure, the design is transferred onto the surface of the coin. This process is repeated thousands or even millions of times during production. Even though modern mints use advanced technology, small differences can still occur. A die may become slightly worn after repeated strikes. The alignment between the dies may shift slightly. Sometimes a new die is introduced into production, creating subtle differences in design details. These variations are often too small for most people to notice, but collectors pay close attention to them. Years after the 1995 coins were released, collectors began studying them more carefully. Most examples looked exactly the same, but a few coins showed unusual characteristics. These differences were extremely subtle, but experienced collectors noticed that certain coins had slightly sharper details in the portrait or small variations in the spacing of the lettering. At first, these observations were simply interesting discoveries shared among collectors. But as more coins were examined, it became clear that a small group of 1995 101 coins had been struck differently. The variations suggested that they may have been produced using a slightly different die or during a brief moment in the minting process when the equipment was adjusted. One particular coin would later become famous among collectors. It was discovered by an experienced numismatist who had spent decades studying Asian coins. The collector had been sorting through a group of Korean coins acquired from an old collection. At first glance, the coin looked ordinary, just another 101 piece from 1995. However, when the collector examined it more closely, something seemed unusual. The portrait of Admiral Yi Sun-sin appeared sharper than usual, and the lines of the design seemed more defined. The surface of the coin also reflected light differently, suggesting that it had been preserved in excellent condition. Curious about the coin, the collector compared it with several other coins from the same year. When placed side by side, the differences became clearer. The spacing of certain design elements was slightly different, and the portrait lines appeared more precise than those on standard circulation coins. To investigate further, the collector used magnification to examine the coin's surface. Under closer inspection, the details of the minting variation became even more noticeable. The coin appeared to have been struck with exceptional precision, possibly using a fresh die before it experienced any wear. The collector realized that the coin might represent an extremely rare minting variation. However, confirming this would require expert evaluation. Rare coins must be carefully authenticated to ensure that they are genuine and not altered or damaged pieces. The coin was eventually submitted to professional grading specialists who examine rare coins using advanced equipment. These experts measure the coin's weight, diameter, and metal composition. They also analyze the strike quality, surface preservation, and overall condition of the coin. During the examination, the experts confirmed that the coin was authentic and had indeed been struck with a rare minting variation. They also noted something even more impressive. The coin's condition was extraordinarily well preserved. Most coins from 1995 had circulated for years, picking up scratches and signs of wear. The raised details on many coins had become smooth from constant handling. But this particular coin looked almost untouched. The portrait lines remained crisp, and the surface retained a bright metallic luster. In coin collecting, condition is extremely important. Coins are graded on a scale that measures how well their original details have been preserved. A coin with clear details, minimal scratches, and strong luster receives a much higher grade than a heavily worn coin. In 1995, a small coin quietly entered circulation in South Korea. It was the 101 coin, something millions of people carried in their pockets without thinking twice about it. People used it to buy small snacks, pay bus fares, or receive it as change after a purchase. For most people, it was just another everyday coin with very little value. It was lightweight, simple in design, and seemed completely ordinary. Yet sometimes the most ordinary objects hide the most fascinating stories. The coin features the portrait of Admiral Yi Sun-sin, one of the most respected figures in Korean history. Admiral Yi was known for his incredible leadership and naval victories during the late 16th century, especially during the Imjin War. His strategic brilliance and courage made him a national hero, and his image on the coin serves as a reminder of strength, loyalty, and resilience. Every day, countless people handled this coin, seeing the portrait without realizing that one day certain versions of this coin would become incredibly valuable. The 101 coin itself is made from a copper-nickel alloy. It has a smooth, durable surface designed to survive years of circulation. On one side, the portrait of Admiral Yi Sun-sin stands proudly, while the other side displays the denomination along with Korean characters and the year of minting. In 1995, the South Korean Mint produced a very large number of these coins, sending them out into banks, stores, and markets across the country. At the time, no one paid special attention to the coins produced that year. They were just part of the normal currency system, used in daily transactions, and often forgotten at the bottom of bags or drawers. But coin collectors, also known as numismatists, have a habit of looking closer than everyone else. They study small details that most people would never notice. They pay attention to mint marks, variations in design, and tiny differences that can turn an ordinary coin into something rare. Over the years, collectors began examining the 1995 101 coins more carefully. While most of them were completely normal, a few unusual examples started to appear. These rare pieces showed tiny minting variations, small differences in the portrait, slight changes in the spacing of letters, or subtle imperfections created during the production process. For collectors, these small details are extremely important because they can signal a rare minting event.